Welcome to the Hair of the Dog podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Begley. And if you are in a photography business and you want to figure out how to get more clients in the door and some ideas for marketing your business, well, you definitely want to stay tuned. Today, I'm talking with Graham Crichton from Belfast, UK, up in Northern Ireland, about his incredible business that he has built over the past 7-8 years and how he continues to get qualified clients in through the door. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Hair of the Dog podcast. If you're a pet photographer ready to make more money and start living a life by your design, you've come to the right place. And now, your host, pet photographer, travel addict, chocolate martini connoisseur, Nicole Begley.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hair of the Dog podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Begley, and today I have a very special guest, previous Academy member, Graham Crichton from Northern Ireland over there in Belfast. Welcome, Graham, to the podcast.
Thanks, Nicole. It's good to be here. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here in Chat Business because you are very businessly astute, and I love chatting with that kind of stuff. And yeah, we're going to geek out on all sorts of good things. But before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business? And, you photograph more than just pets, but I know pets are close to your heart. So tell us a little bit about what your business looks like today.
I'm primarily a dog photographer based in Belfast in Northern Ireland, as Nicole said. We run a commercial portrait studio, so we do dogs and we also do family portraits, and we do headshots and we do graduations. So there's a broad range of different things that we do. The primary focus is on pets. We do more pets than we would do of any other genre, but we do a variety of different genres as well.
Nice. And have you always done studio, or have you done natural, like outdoor stuff as well in the past?
No, well, I came from a background of working in theatre as a stage manager, and then when I went into photography, the only way into photography at the time was to do weddings.
Okay, yep.
For years and years, I think we calculated it and I totaled out at over 1,000 weddings by the time I finished doing weddings. So we did weddings, which are obviously on location, and then also engagement shoots that went alongside with those. But I never did any portraiture or anything like that on location.
1,000 weddings.
Yeah, 1,000 weddings.
That's a lot of weddings.
It was a lot of Saturday mornings, it was, the wife would say.
Yeah, for sure. So you were theater stage director. Did you love the photography part of it? I think we've had conversations in the past where you're like me, that you love the business piece of it and you really like the photography part of it too, but you definitely love the business piece. Kind of what drove you to the photography?
Well, I'm definitely, I would say to people, I'm a business person who takes photographs. I'm not a photographer who runs a business. Ever since I was about 2 foot off the ground, I always wanted to be the managing director. I always wanted to be the boss. I always wanted to run my own company. So that's kind of how I went from being employed then into starting my own business to become a photographer. I'm one of those weird ones, and I know this doesn't go down well with everybody, but I could give up photography tomorrow and it wouldn't be the end of my world. It's as long as I was still my own boss, really, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I like to say I'm completely unemployable now because the thought of having to work for someone else is that's a non-negotiable.
Well, it's funny. That was the first thing that hit my head during COVID was whenever everything shut down, was what the hell do I do? Because I'm qualified to be a stage manager and otherwise I'm not qualified to do anything. I'm not even qualified to work in Tesco. So it was actually quite terrifying.
Oh, well, glad we're turning the corner for that for sure, at least. Yeah. So you did weddings, and then how long ago did you start your studio portrait business?
I started doing studio stuff in 2014. So I had a studio at home. And I started out photographing babies, and I know nothing about babies. And I thought I was newborn at the time. Newborn photography wasn't really a big thing, so I thought, I'll try that. And then I moved we rented a commercial space. We were moving house. So we needed to get the business out of the house, and took on a commercial space, and to kind of justify the expense when I needed to make it, I needed to do studio stuff.
Yeah.
So that was about, I think, 2015 We moved we're in an old linen mill. So Belfast is famous for producing linen. It was called Linenopolis back in the day. It was the capital of linen in the world. So we're in a big old linen. In fact, it's the building we're in. It was the largest flax spinning mill in the world. So it's a really historic, cool building.
Oh, cool. I bet the building's beautiful. I love those old mill buildings.
Oh, you would love this place. Everybody comes in and says, "Oh, do you live here?" You wouldn't want to. It's freezing cold.
Yes, damp and cold in the winter, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of people that maybe have some interest in studio fail to get started because of not having the space to do so, and maybe are nervous of setting something up in their home. Did you have a dedicated space in your home? Because houses in the UK aren't necessarily, like extra spaces everywhere. I mean, it seems to be a lot of the homes over there are utilizing every space. So where did you find the space in your home for the studio? Was a dedicated space?
Well, there's only, in our house, there's only the wife and me and the dog. And back when we were doing that, we rented a 5-bedroom house. So,
okay.
It was a 5-bedroom townhouse. So it was a very, very big, it was a huge house actually, but it had an entire floor with a large room. The studio, I think, was about 3 meters by 5 meters. And then there was a big office, and then there was a big dressing room as well, all on one floor.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It was a lot of space, but the downside with that was you didn't have parking.
Right.
You didn't have signage. It wasn't run as a commercial business. You didn't have zoning or anything for it. So it was very limited in what you could do.
Yeah. How did your business change when you went from the home to the commercial space? Was there anything about it that changed drastically?
Well, there's the pressure of having to pay for this. Because when I took it on as well, I do remember thinking, "Oh God, how the hell am I going to pay for this?" Because back then as well, you didn't. It was only a dream to have customer after customer after customer a day was a dream. So you could go days and you could go weeks without ever seeing a customer. So it began like that. It was slow because as well, when you start out, nobody knows doing that. Nobody knows who you are. And whenever you move premises, as we're going to discover by moving premises shortly, of course, Google won't even know you're there. It takes a while for things like that. So it was better. It was better structure. I prefer I like a good corporate structure, the wife would say. So I run our businesses run very corporately.
Yeah.
And moving out of the home, it set office hours, for example, that you had to work and then you go home and you'd still sneaky and turn the laptop on and do work, but you're constrained into what work you could do at home. So it was actually good. It was good. Yeah,
no, that is a nice perk, because I am very guilty of, let me just pop in my office for a minute. Oh my God, it's been 3 hours.
The wife used to tell me off for going to bed at 3 a.m. in the morning. And it was just give me another wee minute just to edit this brochure.
That's funny. I never got sucked into the overnight because I like my sleep too much, and I'm more of a morning person than the night owl. So after 8 p.m., I am just like spent and nothing good can come out of my brain. So I'm done then. But yeah, I know a lot of people that are very opposite of that. So for sure. All right. So that was back 2015. So were you in that same space? Because you're moving to a new space right now. Were you in that same commercial space for those past, I guess, 6-7 years?
Yeah, it's a 550 square foot space. And we've been there since 2015, so December 2015. We're moving out in July. I've been told everything will be finished for the end of June. So we're moving out, and the difference is we're moving from there, which is it's a studio, 4 by 5 meter studio space, a reception area that's got products in the wall, a kitchen, and then an office. And we're moving from there to a 1,500 square foot space with something like 14 different rooms. It's quite a jump.
That's fantastic. What prompted you to make the change?
Can you say writing off tax? Is that
yes, you can.
That was part of the reason. We had a particularly good year last year, and I thought, you know what, I should use some of this money. But also, I can see the way I'm usually quite good at seeing things in the industry that I work in before they happen. So I could see that, for example, when I gave up weddings, I could see that in Northern Ireland, the wedding industry was on the decline. And I thought to myself, if I don't change, I'm going to be out of business in a few years. And with pet photography, it's starting to get more saturated. But for what I do, there aren't really that many studios.
Right.
We have competitors, but there really aren't that many. There's lots of different pet photographers, but there aren't really many studio pet photographers, and particularly there aren't high. I'm sure you've seen it where you are, but what we would call a high street studio, they don't really exist anymore. So
yeah, right.
I could see a gap in the market for the kind of the resurgence of a high street studio, but focusing on pets. Because there isn't anyone really doing that where we are.
Yeah, I actually heard the stat yesterday, and it blew my mind. And that is that the pet photography industry is a $4.1 billion industry now. Billion with a B. That's a lot of zeros.
I suppose it depends on who you ask. If you ask photographers, they might inflate the figure.
Right. But it's growing. It's exponentially growing. And I know a lot of people get in their head, they get really concerned when they start to see more competition in the market. Their brain immediately goes to, oh, they're going to be lower priced. Oh, there's no room for higher end in the market. Oh, there's too many photographers. There's not enough pets, yada, 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 all these bad places. However, I choose to look at that a little bit differently. I actually like seeing new competitors in the market because until we get to the point where when somebody asks, what do you do? And you say, I'm a pet photographer, and their answer, that's so fun. Instead of, wait, that's a thing. So many people don't even know that pet photography is a thing still. So as these additional people enter the market, that's more market awareness, then that industry is going to continue to grow, continue to expand, and the client base is going to continue to grow too. And that level of excellence in the market is always available. There's always room for more clients when you have an excellent product, when you have great customer service, and when you are actually getting out there with your business and marketing. So I don't think we need to be afraid of anything.
No, I think competition's a healthy thing, and there's a lot of people are very scared of competitors. The industry, just going back in history, has always been an oversaturated industry.
Right.
And you tend to find that ever since the day of the box brownie, there's the professional photographers have increased tremendously. You will always find, though, that will be the way, particularly in times of economic hardship. You find there's more photographers, more people start photographic businesses, and then when the economy recovers, people generally disappear again, and it's peaks and troughs. But I think having competition, you should never ignore your competition. You should always be aware of your competition, know what they are doing. But I think competition is generally quite a healthy thing. My main competitor, I've one real competitor, and him and I have drinks together, and him and I, when it's hitting the fan, we're on the phone to each other going, oh God, what are we going to do? But we would probably slit each other's throats in the middle of the night as well. There's always that. But it is. We're competitive. We're actually, both of us are fiercely competitive.
I love it. Yeah, no, same here. My other main competitors here in this market, we're all friends. We sometimes all get together and have a little dessert and cocktail, and yeah, it's a good time. It's really a great thing that we should not be scared of, but to use it as something to continue to keep us on our toes and to continue to make sure that we are providing the best possible product and the best images. And, that kind of goes the same way with technology. People get really scared with new technology coming out because, I didn't even take my big camera on vacation because my cell phone can capture everything I want from that. And it does a damn good job capturing a lot of images that my DSLR would actually need to have edited. Like, it comes out of my phone looking way better than my professional camera before I edit it.
I bought an iPhone for our marketing person just to use in work, and I must say I took that on holiday recently, and the camera on that thing is fantastic. It
is. It's amazing. And I believe it's the new iPhone, has a function where you take a video and say, whatever, there's a person and a background in your video, and you have it focused on the background. Well, the video's taken, it's done, it's in your phone camera roll. You can now go in and say, no, I want the focus here on this person, and change the focus of the video retroactively.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It really is. It's you can see why people use these cameras, and it's fantastic. Actually, I'm blown away. But not that I'm ever going to become an Apple fanboy, but I am blown away by it, I must say.
I'm so far down in the Apple Borg. It's not even helpful. Yeah, I think technology is going to continue to evolve. So then the other place that a lot of people go is to this place of, oh my gosh, I'm going to become obsolete. But for certain, if it's just super basic, yeah, maybe. But the phone still can't light well if you don't know what you're looking for lighting. The phone still can't elicit great expression from these animals. The phone doesn't set up a studio. The phone doesn't remove leashes. The phone doesn't get great group shots by merging them in Photoshop if you need to, because none of the dogs are trained. Like, there's still so many things that we can create and do and serve that I don't think we need to be that worried about the new technology. Like the competitors, keeping an eye on it, but not losing sleep.
A phone is no different though from a 35mm camera. It's there were 35, there were millions of those in the wild. Didn't make everybody a photographer, and there were those that will that type of phone cameras, etc., cheap cameras, or people with lack of experience. They will cater to a certain crowd, and there's always going to be that crowd. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I say to people, what I sell, for example, I don't sell photographs. I sell an experience. It just so happens that our experience is photographs. So of my job, of what I do and what I'm selling, the photography, weirdly, is the smallest part of it.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. What types of things make your experience stand out?
We've really, really good customer service. So it's from the moment that people contact us, they want to feel like they're £1 million because you want them to spend £1 million. So they got to feel like they're worth it. They, as well, the more fuss you make over people, that's what they will remember, because people have had photos taken before. People have had school photos taken before, and it's down to the experience. If you ever say to somebody, "Oh, would you like to have your photo taken?" Most people go, "No, because I had it done before. It's terrible," and because they're usually relating that to an experience. So if you can create an experience that is a level above what they're expecting, and that you can roll out time and time again, so if their friends come in, you can replicate that again and again, you're onto a winner. And then they actually weirdly forget about the photographs, even though the photograph, you could take great photos or you could take mediocre photos. Not that I do, but they'll be more invested in you as a person and your brand, rather than being invested in the actual photographs. And that's how you can build tremendous loyalty, and those people will tell their friends, and that's better than any money, because that will translate to more money.
Yeah, absolutely. I see so many people asking, how do I do a referral program? And I'm a big believer that, okay, if you have an official referral program, that's great. But the actual real referral program is just knocking the socks off of all your customers so they want to sing your praises and let everyone they know about their experience. Totally. And they don't need any motivation.
Ask them to leave a review. So many people are scared of asking people to leave reviews.
Right?
Ask them to leave a review.
Yeah. Well, just case in point, I was telling you I was in Costa Rica last week, and we had a chef come to the house one night. We had like some other services, and even the house was like, oh, if you could leave a review. And I want to, because it was a great experience, but just today it popped in my mind. I'm like, oh, I should look that up and find a place to leave their review. Where like Airbnb, when you stay there, it sends you an automatic email and it's like, oh yeah, I'll leave that review. So people you need to make it easy for them, and you need to remind them, because they very much likely want to help you and want to leave a review, but they're just busy.
Life gets in the way. People, you're not the most. We like to think we're the most important thing going on in those people's lives. Particularly when I did weddings, people would order their wedding album 8 years after the wedding. You're not the most important person. We seem to get hung up on. We are, but we, for example, give out cards. So every time the customer's in, when the customer pays, the customer gets a card, and it says, "We're a small business. Please review us." And you make a point of saying to them, "Please, you'd really be helping us. If you enjoyed the experience, review us. If you didn't enjoy the experience, let us know." Right. Because a lot of people as well don't take ownership of, and that's a problem, and to do with experiences too. A lot of people don't take ownership when things go wrong. And those people, that it's great to get the good reviews, but you also have to know how to answer the bad reviews. Yeah. And it is heart sinking whenever you get a bad review. You're like, oh, it's the worst thing ever. But it is how you respond to that is more important than the good reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully you're able to find out about those potential issues before the review time. I think a lot of people are scared to ask because they're scared that the client's going to not be happy with something. But if you're asking if they're happy with something and they turn out that they're not, well, then that's a golden opportunity for you to fix it. And I've found when I've had some issues with clients in the past that, maybe something wasn't as expected or there was an issue with their artwork, I fixed it and I made it right. And then they were even more enthralled with my services because I offered a great solution to take their experience and make sure it was exactly what they wanted.
Now, you won't be able to do that all the time because you will get genuine customers who are just bad pieces of work, who will go out of their way just to be a troll. I have been known myself for trolling on Facebook, but you will get people who go in deliberately that will not be pleased or that are genuinely in the wrong. And that usually comes down to expectations that they've got wrong expectations of it. But again, it comes down to how you handle it, because as photographers too, we're too scared a lot of the time that people will leave bad reviews. We're too scared that people will badmouth us. But the truth is, you're a business person, and I was bullied as a child, and I can be damn sure I'm not going to let anybody in my professional career, no matter who they are, bully me either. So I kind of live for the day that people leave bad reviews because I go in for them, and the wife will tell you, never take me on. That's what she always says.
Oh man, I love it. Yeah, no, those are some good lessons there, though. We should not be afraid of it, and just make sure that we can do what we can and approach everything from a business perspective and take ourselves out of it. I think the hard part is that we are so personally attached to this business, because if we are running a business selling like widgets, it's not our personal art that we created and our personal name and all of this just like personal ego stuff wrapped up in this business. So that makes it sometimes extra hard.
And photographers generally quite insecure people. So it is hard. Even me, even my competitors, it doesn't matter how successful you are, you're still scared.
Right.
There's not a day goes by where I don't wake it up with my heart going, oh my God, at the minute it's now about a shop fit, but it's still every day you kind of, that energy keeps you alive. And I used to say to people when I did weddings, whenever you stop caring and when your heart doesn't beat, when you stop getting scared, then that's when you make mistakes.
Right.
So it's important to be scared. We all like to think we're not as scared as we are and be bigger than we are, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with being scared. You're human.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people are always surprised when they hear me say that I still get, a little nervous before a shoot. I'm like, okay, I hope I can deliver what they expect from me this time. Like, it's been 11 years, but I don't know. I might just not know what I'm doing anymore.
my wife used to, it's kind of annoyed her, but whenever we would go to a wedding, I would always sit in the car because I don't drive. So we'd go to the wedding, but on the way to every single wedding, or even now, whenever I go to commercial shoots or anything, I start to and I keep clearing my throat. And she says I only ever do it when I'm nervous.
Oh, that's funny.
And I know now that she's pointed out that I do indeed doing that whenever I'm nervous. But I used to, whenever I was a stage manager, I used to be the same. Just before a show would start, I would be, oh my God. But then once the lights went up for that show, I was absolutely fine. Until the end of the show when you got to think, oh Lord.
Yeah. I think that's a common thing, whether you're playing sports. I mean, it's that way with, showing my horse before you go in the ring. You're like, oh, a little nervous. And then you start to ride and you're like, oh, we're good. Same thing with the shoots, with business, with a sales session, with an inquiry. I think all the things we build it up in our head sometimes so much before that it just, we allow ourselves to focus on what could go wrong instead of focusing on, how we can serve this client, how we can have a great outcome.
It's very easily done. The wife says to me that whenever I go into a shoot or whenever I go into meeting customers, she says anything customer facing, she always says to me, I go into show mode. So the Graham that our customers see is not the Graham at all. That's at home. The Graham at home doesn't like ordering pizza over the phone,
Right.
But the Graham at work has to pick up the phone and talk to people. And she says there's a real difference when she sees me open the door to the customer. All of a sudden, it's show mode. The smile goes on. You talk to people. But outside of work, I absolutely hate talking to people.
I'm glad you're talking to me. Oh no, I'm the same way. All right, so let's talk a little bit about back when you were building your new business, and have you used kind of similar marketing strategies from when you were kind of newer in business versus now, or has that changed as your business has grown?
I think I've learned a lot from the marketing strategies that we have used of things that haven't worked. I've thrown money, like you wouldn't believe it, at campaigns over the years, and some things have worked and some things haven't worked. So I think, and also, to be honest, over even, what's that, since 2014 or whatever, things have changed. Magazine ads now, nobody pays for magazine ads, nobody reads magazines. So different things have worked, different things haven't. One of the things that worked really well for me in the past, which I don't know if it will again, it is trade shows. Mm-hmm. So exhibitions or expos, those have worked really well. But now in a post-COVID world, I don't know if those are going to work. So you've got to kind of adapt, particularly as well campaigns at the minute for things like what our little Russian friend is doing in Russia, causing a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. People are going to have less disposable income as a result of that. So you've got to be wary. You've got to constantly be seeing what the world is doing and adapting.
Yeah.
More than anything. Marketing is about adapting and changing. You can't just put all your eggs in one basket and roll it out every year because it won't work.
Agreed. Yeah. I'd like to say that marketing is 100% a culmination of many different avenues and activities. And I feel like so many people are always looking for this one magic solution. It's like, just tell me the one marketing strategy I need to do. But I don't think there is a one marketing strategy.
I was going to say, I'll pay them if you know what it is.
Right. I think honestly, there kind of is. It's not the only thing you can do, but if you're not doing this, all the other marketing strategies are going to be very, very hard. And that is actually making connections in your market, talking to people, getting yourself out there, having some brand awareness in your market, and just those human to human interaction relationships that if you are not always focusing on that, then no matter what marketing strategy you're trying to implement, I think it's a lot harder to actually implement because you're going up a hill because you don't have that relationship basis that all business is built on.
Well, you have to, if you think we're in the industry of people, that's really what it boils down to. And if you don't do that, if you don't approach people and you haven't got people make it aware of you, you haven't built that relationship up, you haven't got that brand, the phone's not going to ring because there's going to be nobody left to phone you. So you have people, massaging people is the most important part of what we do for building new business.
Yep. And I can hear all the introverted dog photographers across all the land shudder in unison as they hear that.
I think when they're sitting there being introvert, think of me, think of you. Yep. Nobody likes doing it. Nobody really likes doing it. So whenever they're sitting there thinking, I couldn't do this, think to yourself, put the show face on, put the show mode on. You're not being you, you're being a character. Be that character and be yourself at home.
Yeah. Ask yourself what your business needs and be that person. And, sometimes maybe psych yourself up, write down what you need to ask. I know that's what I did for a long time. For any time I had to phone a client back for an inquiry, or I was going to have my pre-session consult on the phone or anything like that. I had a list. I had kind of a script that I would go from that I wouldn't read word for word, but I had the questions in front of me. So, because my biggest fear was I'm not going to know what to say, or I'm going to forget something important. So, that helped me. You can practice just with friends. You can practice with other photographers. If you're in our Hair of the Dog community, their members are a free group, get a buddy in there and go through your little inquiry process or do a little call with each other. There's so many ways we just like to make excuses on why we can't or why it's hard. Well, do you know what's on my desk? I have a notice board in front of my desk. Yeah. And, do you know what there is pinned to my notice board? There's two things immediately in front of my monitor. One is a Nicole Begley phone script. I remember watching one of your modules about phone scripts, and I've cut all the bits that I like and modified it, and that's my phone script. And nice. the other thing that's in front of me in very large text on an A4 page is, what would you like to do with have you had a think about what you would like to do with your pictures? And that was again from one of your modules. Oh, thanks. No, but it's the underlying thing. You've got to remember those underlying things. And sometimes we do need help. We need a script. We're not all people who can just come out with stuff like that. If I come out with stuff like that, I'd probably end up in court for a lot of it, to be honest. So you do need a hand, I love it. I love it. Yeah, what would you like to do with your photos is by far the most important thing you can ask your potential clients all the way through the process, because it opens the door for being able to have the conversation of what makes you different. Because so many people, it's 2022, they come in thinking that, oh, I just want the digital files because they've seen so many photographers. It's like $100, all the digital files. So they just have been trained that, oh, this is what you do now. So they might not even realize that all this artwork and all these other products are even an option. So by asking that, it just opens that door. And no matter what their answer is, whether it's, oh, the digital files, or, I'm not sure, or the rare unicorn that's like, oh, I'd like to get some art for my house. And then you're like, yes,
we do.
I love you.
We as photographers fall into a hole where we're so used to terms. We watch so many things. We've so many influences online that we find all these terms like storyboards,
Right.
lay flat albums. Customers don't give a monkey about those things, and they don't know what they are. So why would we try and say to somebody, oh, would you like a folio box? What the hell is a folio box? Why do we not want to simplify? We should be simplifying things as much as possible to make it so easy for people to go, oh, I just want to spend money.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. What are some of your most popular products that you sell over there in Belfast?
We sell, it'd be different, I know, from my competitors, because I know what he sells. He knows what I sell. One of his staff downloaded my brochure a few weeks ago, and I phoned him up and said, did she download my brochure? And he said, she was meant to not put her name in it. So I said, well, you can send me a copy of your brochure, and he did. But the most popular product that I would sell, I'm very much about frames.
Me too.
I'm a simpleton. I like things simple. So, but we sell what we call a storyboard frame, which is a collage in a frame, really. So it's a square frame with 4 pictures, 9 pictures, 16 pictures, in a frame, and it's a very cost-effective product.
Nice.
But I like them because I have a good relationship with my framer. We work together on a good price. But I find them really easy to do, especially if you're using something like ProSelect. Once you've got your templates mocked up, it's easy. But I probably sell more of those because those are the ones I know they're good value, and those are the ones I like.
Yep.
Whereas I should be selling other. I was looking today before this call actually at a different type. I was looking at multiple frames as one order. So what we'd call a cluster, I guess.
Right.
But I've always stayed clear of them because the profit I find has been in storyboards rather than the outlay of multiple products.
Yeah. Well, I get jealous of you studio photographers because the clusters always look so nice. Or the storyboards, things like that, when you have multiple images, because the images all have a very similar lighting and feel. But sometimes when you're off and you're doing an on-location session, you have 40 images from, some are twilight and some are backlit and some, various areas, and you're moving around. And people are like, oh, I want to put these all on your wall. But then you're like, well, that's all going to look terrible all together on the wall because the color things are a little bit different from them.
You're the one doing that. Your customer's not going to be doing that. You're the person doing that. So we've got to remember that what our customers want to buy isn't necessarily what we would want to buy.
Right.
And what we think, again, you're sitting thinking going, oh, the colors are different. Customers generally don't give a flying monkey.
I care.
we're putting that because you care. We're putting that on the customer. So I wouldn't be so concerned about that. But see, even in a studio, to be honest, you still have variables. Lights won't always flash all the time. You might have a shadow. The subject may be slightly further away, so it's not. It isn't always as rosy as people make out.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the reasons you mentioned how, you sell a lot of the storyboards because you find the value there, and that's kind of what you want to be selling. I love, for me, just like a big signature piece. So that tends to be more what I sell is just like one image on the wall, really, really big. And, I have other pet photographer friends that they just sell albums. I don't sell a ton of albums. There's another, Kim Hollis is photographer in my market here in Charlotte, that she sells mostly medals. And I don't even have medals on my price list because I don't love medals. So it's all about, I think, finding things that you love.
I'm the same with canvases, and my framer's trying to get me into doing canvases at the minute. But when I see a canvas, to be honest, in my experience of canvas production, is I could go into Asda and get a canvas. So in my head, I'm like,
Right.
I don't want to sell that.
Yeah.
But everybody has different, like we don't sell metal or acrylic. And the reason we don't do that is when I started out, the cost of production of those products that the professional labs charge is a hefty sum
Right.
of
Yeah,
your
the acrylics
cost
are
of goods.
expensive. Yeah.
Whereas frames, for me, I can produce a frame at 20% or less, and it's for me that's profitable.
The framer you're working with, is it a local framer that you have a partnership with?
Yes, a local framer. She's very good, actually.
That's fantastic.
She's got me, and the nice thing about working with locals too is she's got me out of a hole quite a lot of times. So.
Yeah. That's nice. That's nice. Perfect. What would you say is, well, you just mentioned 2021 was a great year, which is awesome. Congratulations. What was your best marketing strategy last year in 2021?
I don't really know. Well, now 2020, last year for us was a very good year for several reasons. For one, people started spending money on pets again, but we also got into doing graduation photography. And I saw a gap in the market at the time that the universities were all closed.
Yeah.
But there were still, we have two big universities and they have a lot of students, but you can't get the gowns for graduations because they're all either owned by the universities or owned by companies. So I went out and bought all of the gowns for all the local universities. And that meant that in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, we were the only people able to do the graduation with using the same gowns. So it was crazy. And it was crazy because we were in the summer, I was working from 7 a.m. to 10 at night, 7 days a week for like 4 months. But it was crazy. So that was a good one. But with regards to pets, probably building up relationships with local charities and local businesses. So we had a number of influencers and a number of local businesses who we knew had a lot of followers, and building up relationships with them. And then, for example, we'd one company we work with, which is a company that manufactures customized clothing. Mm-hmm. And they do it in a really quirky way, and it's beautiful. Actually, the stuff's really beautiful. We work with them, and then they would, for example, give out a gift voucher to each customer to come in. Yep. But because they're pre-qualified, because their customers are pre-qualified by buying their clothing, and their clothing isn't cheap, then you've pre-qualified the customers to come out to you. Whereas if we'd gone into a really cheap business and given out vouchers, you've already people will still come to you, but it's the opposite effect. They won't spend money.
Right.
And we worked as well with a number of charities and did things. Was a calendar competition and a dog food brand competition as well. So a number of different things. You've got to constantly be coming up with different wee ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. And testing them and seeing some will work, some won't. And just always knowing that marketing is always just an experiment. And what works for somebody in one market might not work in another. You might have to tweak it a little bit. And like you said, even year to year, things might change. And so you have to adjust things a little bit differently. Question with that business relationship with the unique outfits, those vouchers, or the clients, when they get the voucher, did they still have to pay anything to get in front of your lens, or did that voucher like totally cover their session fee? And
the voucher would cover the entirety of it. However, something I did learn again from your fair self was charge a flipping deposit because it really does. I remember when I watched your video on that, because I didn't used to, because there's always the fear, of people won't charge a deposit. So we have 4 vouchers. People pay a £25 what we call refundable booking fee. Because I know as well in particularly your part of the world, the word deposit means different things. So we have a refundable booking fee, and the terms and conditions are that they come out, they come to the shoot, they come to the viewing, they'll get their £25 back if they don't buy anything, or they'll get £25 off product. But by the time most people generally have forgotten about that £25.
Oh yeah.
I tend to find there's a few people won't, and bizarrely, the people that don't forget about it are people who come out wanting something for free, and then they want their £25 back. And those people are usually, you'll love this, people who work in the dog industry, who work in the pet industry.
Yeah,
so we have a lot of dog walkers, dog groomers, people like that would come out, and they're the ones that they want their money back and they don't want to buy anything.
Right. Oh, that's funny. I was going to say something else about that. Oh well, it'll come back to me. Yeah, the I know what it was. The word deposit, which I was always under the impression that there were certain ways that you could or couldn't refer to retainers or deposits in the U.S. I just did an interview with Rachel Brenke from the Law Talk. She's a U.S.-based photographer, lawyer, And that is not necessarily true. So you guys will have to listen to Rachel's podcast episode, which just came out a couple before this one. And she will set you straight on what you can and can't call it. So, yeah. All right. Awesome. I love it. You know that I also love working with the charities. I feel like that is, and just, it's one of my favorite marketing strategies is finding local charities and offering some special sessions to their supporters that also benefits the charity. Is that how you kind of set up your charitable marketing things, or do you do anything else unique?
No, you've got to remember charity. Well, first of all, charity begins at home. So all of us are business people. So whenever we do anything that's charitable, we have to ensure that we're still making money, that it's not costing us money. Because there's no point in you doing a big campaign for charity and then figuring out, you know what, I've actually lost money.
Right.
Even all of the world's top charities, they all make money. You know. It is a business ultimately. So whenever you work with charities as well, it's important to choose the correct charities to work with. So you want to choose charities that will fit in with your brand, they'll fit in with the way you think, because you can then get behind them. But also at the same time, you want to ensure that if you're doing it for the purposes of making money, that you're going to get the people through the door that are going to spend the money that you're asking. So you've got to choose your charities very, very wisely and choose the people who donate to charities very wisely. I tend to find, and this might not be for everybody, but campaigns that we run with different organizations, I tend to find actually the people that spend the least are rescue dog owners usually. Usually people who are more invested in their pets from being a puppy. We tend to have better averages of people like that. But we do a lot of stuff with different rescue charities because I like their ethos of rescue charities.
Right.
And I think as well, we've got to remember when doing stuff with charity too, it's not all about the business, but it is very much about the business. But it is not all. You still have to make sure that you're giving back. You're not just taking from a charity. So you're not just getting customers, you're giving something in return.
Yep. Yeah. And that's one of those things too that I've found that creates so much goodwill towards your brand, where I would have people, you know, when I first started my business, I did a lot of things with our, like the Western Pennsylvania Humane Society, which is our bigger, kind of our bigger shelter in the Pittsburgh region. And
I forgot you were in Pittsburgh. I used to go to college in Greene County in Waynesburg. Believe it or not.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Just down the road. Small world.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. But anyway, for years, even after I didn't have the time to like go in and take photographs for them, so I would volunteer with them in some other ways with charitable marketing and do things that would help raise money instead of necessarily donating my time for like individual things. But for years, people would always tell me how, oh, I found out about you because of your work with Humane Society. Oh, and you know, because of this, because of that. And it created so much brand goodwill because they care about that charity, whatever charity you choose to partner with, they care about that. And so then you care about that. So all of a sudden now you guys have this in common, and that goodwill rubs off onto your brand. So before you even make that inquiry response to them, they already love you because you've been, you know, helping something that's close to their heart.
And they know what you do. It's also working with charities as well is something, if you do it right and that everybody's back gets scratched, you can roll it out again and again, because it is, I find a lot of charities that don't have so much, it's not, maybe, I don't know, loyalty. There's a lot of, particularly if new photographers come in, they'll just go, oh yeah. So it's important the charity wants to pick you again and again and say no to getting other people a foot in the door.
Right. Yeah. And that, again, comes down to relationships. You know, it comes down to being a good human, to connecting with other humans, to talking to the charity. One of the easiest ways I find to get kind of a foot in the door with those charities is by donating to any silent auctions that they might do. Do you guys have many silent auction things over there? No.
But what I would do instead of that is I would donate cold hard cash, because it's tax deductible. Get a receipt. Sometimes to get into the door of some of these charities, you might actually just have to put your hand in your pocket and give a good donation. You know.
Yeah, for sure. But it's always the conversation with the businesses and the charities always needs to come from a place of, hey, how can I help you? How can I serve you? Instead of coming at it from, hey, I have this idea that's going to help me. Because, they have to make sure that they're helping themselves because that's their job.
Totally. They've got to, everybody's back has to be scratched.
Yep.
Auctions aren't really something we do here. We do what you would call benefits. So we would do dinners and things. And
Okay.
we would donate, but I generally see the prizes that we would donate to charities. Let's say I gave away a framed portrait.
Yep.
95% of those vouchers you would give out to charities, you'll never see anyone through the door. But we would never have them claim them.
I have about a 50% claim rate here. The one thing I did do on mine that helped get their information quickly, because, with privacy laws, the charity won't always tell me who won. Sometimes they do, which is great. And I'll always ask, hey, can you let me know who won so I can reach out to them so they can schedule their prize? But sometimes they won't because of privacy. But what I would put on the voucher that they would win is, please contact the studio within 7 days to activate. Or you could put a little QR code on it like, hey, go here to activate your voucher, which, to make it even easier, it could be like a landing page that just says, hey, put in your information here and we'll be in touch. So that way they don't have to go find your email or give you a call because people don't like phones, giving them multiple avenues, however they want to get in touch with you. That's really helped. I would say, oh gosh, I don't have the actual stat in front of me, but well over half of any auctions that I donated to since I started doing that, the winner would get in touch with me that first week. And which was great because then I could be like, all right, what time of year are you thinking? And if it's not till we want to do next January, then I can put on my calendar, as the month approaches to get in touch with them and say, hey, it's time, let's schedule. So that's definitely super helpful.
I find people with vouchers and things for things like that for auctions, for me, it's more the benefit of your name being kind of called out rather than the actual return. And you've oftentimes with these prize things, particularly if you're doing, for example, we do a competition in a coffee shop, a local coffee shop. They, because they're not pre-qualified clients, you tend to get an okay spend, not a great spend, but an okay spend. But you have to, again, you've got to not be afraid of putting your hand in your own pocket, because as photographers, we're all like, oh, we want stuff cheap. You see this word all over the web. Does anybody know a reasonable web designer? I don't know too many unreasonable web designers, I must say. No one's ever punched me. But we're all too fond of thinking, how do we do stuff cheap? But you've got to think your marketing if you were doing Facebook ads, you'd be paying Facebook. But in terms of things like charity things, you still have to pay for that. You just do it a different way. People forget you have to put your hand in your pocket to make money. It does cost.
Right. You just want to make sure that it is beneficial. Like you said, magazine advertisement, probably not going to give you much return on your investment. But doing something where you're making these relationships with these other businesses definitely could. Do you have any tips or tricks for getting in touch with for-profit businesses? Are these businesses that you've had relationships in the past, or do you have any words of wisdom for people that might want to contact a for-profit business?
Well, do your research into who the businesses are. Pick businesses that you like, send a boatload of things out to them. But the best way to do it, social media, go onto the social media, become known to them, click like, follow. Don't ever contact somebody who you haven't followed, for example.
Right.
It's really cheeky. Go on, go onto their Facebook, go onto their Instagram, like them for a few weeks, and then maybe comment on a few posts for a few weeks, because that person then is going to know who you are. Because of course they're sitting at home bored on their sofa, looking, oh, somebody commented on my post. Then send them an email, be warm and fluffy. Always be warm and fluffy when corresponding with people, particularly small businesses, because they're sitting there as well. These for-profit small businesses like us, they want to know, how am I going to benefit from this too? Right.
I love it. I just had a visual of Graham putting on his warm and fluffy face before you go off to contact a for-profit business.
I am very warm and fluffy, Nicole, unless you piss me off, and then I'm not warm and fluffy.
I'm just kidding. That just cracked me up. Oh man, this has been such a good conversation. Thank you for taking the time. I just, wanted to kind of have this conversation with you because you are out there doing the marketing, doing the work. You're not sitting and just being like, okay, I've got a great website and I've got a building. Now, where are my people? They should come to me. Like you're making it happen, because the just randomly build it and they will come does not actually work.
I might be sitting doing that in July when I open this new studio.
Well, you might need like a quick little break after, because I'm sure, as with all things construction, it'll be the end of June. Be like, oh my God, is it ever going to be done? And somehow it'll get done, but it'll be very stressful, I'm sure. Oh, man. Graham, thank you so much. Do you have any last minute tips for any pet photographers out there that are just getting this business rolling and they're just wondering, man, how do I start getting some more people into my business? What kind of overarching tip do you have for them?
I would probably say stop worrying. Honestly, take a deep breath. I wish I would probably got years of my life back if I hadn't worried as much. We're also too fond of. We've got into this kind of way of if we just chuck money at stuff, it will happen.
Yes.
Photographers are extremely easily parted with their cash. Don't just sit back and have a think and evaluate. Don't as well become obsessed with competitors. It's far too easy to become obsessed with what Joe Bloggs is doing around the corner, to the point where you actually will fall backwards and you'll forget what you're meant to be doing yourself. So just take a deep breath and think. Always think. Be 2 steps ahead, never be going backwards.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. That's great advice. Thanks again, Graham, for being here. Can you let everybody know where they can follow you on the interwebs if they want to keep in touch with you?
Yeah, you can go to WeTellTales.com as well. If you would want to follow me, that would be great, because we've been nominated for the Pet Photographer of the Year at the Northern Ireland Pet Awards. So if you could follow
congratulations.
me, thank you. I know voting begins in June, so I'd really appreciate people just saying that. But yeah, WeTellTales.com or Graham Crichton Photo, I think, on Insta thing.
On Insta thing.
Yeah, I'm not our social media person. I'm not.
I love it. It's fantastic. Graham, always a pleasure to chat with you, and we will see you around. And thanks for being here with us.
No worries, Nicole. That was good crack. Thank you.
All right, bye everybody. See you next week. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, go ahead and take a screenshot of this episode on your phone and post it up there on your Instagram stories, and be sure to tag us at Hair of the Dog Academy. And we would just love to see how you're listening. And full disclosure, sometimes we just like to give away a little pet photographer swag in the form of Hair of the Dog t-shirts and sweatshirts. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and share that screenshot of this episode, and don't forget to tag us at Hair of the Dog Academy. And while you're there, maybe you want to jump on over to our account and see what we're up to on the gram. Would love to connect with you. Thanks for listening to the Hair of the Dog podcast. This was episode 141. If you want to check out the show notes for access to any of the resources that we mentioned, simply go to www.hairofthedogacademy.com/141.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Hair of the Dog Podcast. If you enjoyed this show, please take a minute to leave a review. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming episodes. One last thing, if you are ready to dive into more resources, head over to our website at www.hairofthedogacademy.com. Thanks for being a part of this pet photography community.